Relative career records. Eubank's 41 to Schommer's 33, and Eubank's been in the ring a lot more rounds at the top level. Good knockout ratio though for Schommer, and you've got to say on the record Schommer has the classic puncher's chance here.
Well, apparently his record says that he can punch, but the guy hasn't. He's had 2 fights in his past 3 years. Now it's not enough fights to get him fight for in my opinion, to get him and win a world title. You need more. You need to be more active than that. 2 fights in 3 years isn't enough. But not unless if he can punch the way his record says he can punch, and definitely if he throws one and if it lands on target, it could do a hell of a lot of damage.
WBO rules here, Dave, just to refresh your memory. It's the 10-point must system, so the winner of each round collects 10 points along the way. 3 knockdowns in any round mean it's all over. There's no standing 8 count at any point. You also cannot be saved by the bell in any round, so the count would continue if you've been knocked down. And only the referee can stop the fight, which actually does away with the old thing about the towel being thrown in. Good set of rules, WBO?
Not bad. The only thing that worries me is the three knockdown rule. Maybe out of 23 fights I've been down 21 times. That would worry me a bit. I'm prone to getting put down.
Let's hope you're going to enjoy the big fight. Eubank against Schommer. They're about to get the show underway once more in Sun City. We're back there live now.
Like me, and CCV Sports Arena is proud to present the WBO Super Middleweight Championship. Please, would you welcome into the ring right now? We want to bring the fighters in, and we want you to give them a rousing round of applause. We acknowledge the presence of the fight supervisor here, Mr. Jerry Woolard. But welcome first the challenger here tonight, all the way from the US of A, Dangerous Dan Schommer. Dangerous Dan Schommer.
The entrance of Dan Schommer, unbeaten in 31 fights, and he's confident. He says he's no has-been.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the reigning WBO Super Middleweight Champion of the world, Chris, simply the best, Eubank.
Chris Eubank plays Sun City, and he didn't stint one bit on the showmanship for them, did he?
We'd like you to be upstanding for the singing of the national anthems. And with that regard, it gives me great pleasure to welcome a young lady all the way from South Carolina, USA, to sing the American anthem, Gigi Allen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Gigi Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, please, the British anthem. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Old Buck will be giving a belt away during this fight. And behind me here, we see the Old Buck belt. One more time for Old Buck Jin. We'd like to thank all our dignitaries and ring ladies as they leave. Put your hands together for the Sun City Showgirls.
Well, how does Eubank look to you, Glenn, at the moment?
As always, he looks fantastic. He looks in absolute tremendous shape. They've said he's had weight problems, but he's dismissed them. He said they're making a big deal over nothing. He certainly looks in great shape.
There have been stories, though, that he's lost too much too quickly this time, and will he pay for it in this kind of climate and at this kind of altitude? Is he playing too dangerous a game?
Well, it is the worst place in the world to try and lose weight like that, because we are very, very high, and it's a very serious thing, as I well know, losing weight too sharp. So let's hope he hasn't done that. I've always thought he's a good professional, and he won't have.
Your judges for this evening, please. We'd like you to put your hands to them. They are Jose Rivera from Rio Piedras, Puerto Rico. Ishmael Quiones Falou of Puerto Rico. And Alfred Bakwana right here from the Transvaal. As we said before, the fight supervisor is Jerry Willard. And when the bell rings and the action begins in this four-corner ring, the man in charge will be a gentleman who has now, by the end of this fight, officiated in 71 world title fights our very own Mr. Stanley Christodoulou. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing on my left, he's wearing the blue and gold trunks. He weighed in at 75.45 kilograms. He has a fight record of 31 contested fights. He's won 30 of them. He's only drawn one. He goes by the name of Dangerous Dan Schommer.
And the draw was against the former Olympian Israel Cole.
His opponent tonight, a gentleman who needs no introduction, not only to the world of boxing, but in world sport today. He's wearing the yellow trunks. His weight is 76.2 kilograms. He has a fight record of 40 contested fights, 38 wins. He's only drawn 2. He is the reigning WBO super middleweight champion of the world, Chris, simply the best, Eubank.
Eubank making his 13th defense of this title. Will 13 be unlucky? It's his 5th fight of 1994, this one.
Let's have a good fight. Shake hands. Good luck to you both. Thank you.
The referee is one of the best in the world, in my book, Stanley Christodoulou, who's from South Africa. It's the 4th time he's refereed a Eubank fight. He handled the ones against John Jarvis, Lindo Holmes and Tony Thornton. The bell goes with a cameraman still in the ring. Well, that's quite extraordinary from one of the local broadcasting companies. Never seen that before. Now Schommer, unbeaten in 31 contests. How good is he? He still looks to have just a little bit of flab around him. He's a successful businessman. He's a part-timer. He's really been a club fighter. Though he's won a lot, he hasn't beaten anybody much. This is a massive test for him. He starts as a big underdog. Can he shock Eubank, of whom there have been question marks about his preparation?
Well, Eubank, he totally unsettles people because they don't really know what to do with him. You know, already Schommer, you know, at the very beginning when Eubank stood there with his hands dropped, just stood there pawing away at him. So the opponents never know what to make of Chris Eubank.
This is the 3rd southpaw that Eubank's faced this year. Rocky Gianni and Sam Story, the others. Story, who was beaten in the last fight in the 7th round. It's the first time Eubank had stopped anybody, though, for over 2 years. How positive will Eubank be on this away day? The word on Schommer is that despite the general feeling that he's a limited fighter, he does have a bit of a dig. Can punch a bit with either hand. But Eubank, of course, above anything else, is renowned for the rock-like nature of his chin.
You've always got to respect an undefeated fighter, Ian. You know, we never really know what they're all about. You know, you can question his opponents, you can question anything, but you know, he's never lost, so you know, there's no answer to that.
Schommer was very realistic about this job. When I spoke to him at some length the other day, he was saying, I know I'm not going to get a close decision to take this title away. I've got to do it decisively and keep up a good work rate.
And that wasn't a bad left hand from Schommer.
One of the big criticisms of Eubank is that he only fights for 1 minute in 3 every round. It's a cautious beginning from him here. Just watching, sizing up what's in front of him. I don't think he knew a whole lot about Dan Schommer going into this. But that's how he approaches all his tasks, and he's unbeaten in 41 contests so far. It's good work from Schommer. Southpaw jab, left hand.
Yes, he's having a bit of success. The corner give a shout there when he landed with a left jab.
He's throwing a bit more leather than Eubank in this opening round.
Go right away again, okay? In other words, your countering is counter. Show, Mickey. Slow enough. Slow enough.
A typically cautious start from Eubank. They're just a little bit worried about a slight swelling underneath his left eye. By the look of it, it's nothing much. I don't know, there wasn't much in that opening round, but Schommer seemed to throw out a bit more leather to me. Maybe he took that opening round. Not much happened in it, to be frank with you. Second round here. Can this American shock Eubank?
Well, as usual, Eubank has done very little in the opening round, so it's very hard to get a guy. But Schommer, look, he had quite fast hands. He tried to get his shots off. The jab looked quite fair.
They've got one common opponent, Ron Malek, who Schommer beat in 2 rounds. Eubank took 5. That was quite a long time ago, to be fair. Eubank does have this way, though, of seeming to know exactly what he has to do to win. And he can psych his opponents as well, looking for that right hand there over the top. Just a bit busier in this second round, Eubank. First impressions of Schommer, Glenn?
Not bad. He looks okay. He looks rather capable. He's getting his jab to work. He doesn't seem overly phased in this fight. He's trying a few things. And the thing is, we haven't seen Eubank do anything yet. He's having a good long look at Dan Schommer.
I asked Schommer what his style was. He said, I'm a stick and move kind of fighter. I prefer to counterpunch, and so too, of course, does Eubank. So let's hope they don't get too negative. Both waiting for the other to lead. Remember, we're fighting here at nearly 5,000 feet, and Eubank's sparring partner, Ray Webb, was telling me that fighting for 5 rounds here is like fighting 10 rounds anywhere else. That's how he put it anyway.
But both men have had to travel a long way for this fight, so I think the problems are going to hit either man the same, but Eubank's had a lot longer here to get acclimatized.
Good right hand from Eubank there. Showed fast hands and then got away out of range. This is the 3rd stop on the Eubank World Tour, in which he will attempt to defend his title 8 times in a year. Schommer did have one very good win when he was an amateur. He beat Virgil Hill, the current world light heavyweight champion. Eubank into his full posturing, and it's not going down exceptionally well with the Sun City crowd here. Difficult round to score, that one.
It was. I thought it was an even round. They both tried to look for spaces with the jab. Neither man had any good shots that went in. It's a very careful opening from Eubanks. He's having a good look at this fellow.
Okay.
There's Dan Schommer. He works as a broker in the petroleum equipment business, earns good money. That raises the question, really, of how hungry he is for glory as a boxer. But he says he's waited a long time for this chance. He's on $50,000, which isn't a massive payday by world championship standards. Certainly alongside the kind of money Eubank has been earning. He's been staying at a place called the Palace. Well, he would, wouldn't he?
He would, yes.
3rd round. Frankly, Eubank hasn't done an awful lot so far.
No, he's done very little. He's been very careful. He hasn't rushed in. He's took no chances. He's let the right hand go, but he's been well short with it.
One problem Eubank has had in a couple of his recent fights, has been cut. He was cut against Ray Close and Maurizio Amaral this year, and he cut his lip in sparring last weekend.
Right, step back. Stop bowling.
Schommer's been saying in the build-up to this fight, there's no way Eubank is going to outbox me. I've watched videos of him over and over again. He can't outbox me. Well, that's an interesting claim.
It is interesting, and he is getting through with some shots. He has got quite fast hands.
Both waiting for each other to lead, hoping for the counter-punch. Oh, that's a good right hand from Eubank. He's landing the heavier shots by the look of it so far. They're very spasmodic. Schommer relying almost exclusively on that southpaw jab.
Yes, he's working more with the jab. He just seems to be beating Eubanks to the jab.
I mean, he doesn't look especially slick, does he, or smart, Schommer. There's something quite ponderous about him, really.
There is. I think physically he looks ponderous, but his hands are a little bit faster than he looks. And I think that is just upsetting Eubank at this early point. I think he'll be looking for the big right hand. That's his favourite shot, and it's a good shot against the southpaw.
He's making Schommer miss quite a lot in this round. Scoring with the jab. Eubank. Schommer comes back with his own left hook, though. Eubank, though, claims that he will always do just what he has to do to keep on winning and keep the money rolling in and move on to the next stopover. Is this going to be another of those nights, you wonder, where we have controversy and contention? Well, I'm sure Dan Schommer and his camp there, Joe Daskowitz in the corner, and his son Chuck will be quite happy with things so far. There can't be a lot in it because, frankly, neither of them have landed too much.
That's right. I think they'll be very pleased with him, man. He's doing a good job. He said he was a counter puncher. You know, he's going to try and make Eubanks make the mistakes, and I think that's a good ploy. Why should he? He's not running to Eubanks' right hand.
One thing I've seen, though, time and again from Eubank is his ability to lift things when he feels the need arises. And he's often pulled away in the closing stages of his fights. They've often been pretty level affairs for the first 7 or 8 rounds. By the way, the judges here, 2 from Puerto Rico, 1 from South Africa. Eubank scored 3 knockdowns in his last fight against Sam Story. There was nothing wrong with his performance on that occasion. Just touching gloves there. They've been very sportsmanlike in the build-up, these two. No phony ballyhoo or anything like that. In fact, I think they even had a chat at breakfast the other morning.
You wonder when that's happening if Chris Eubank's in danger of becoming a Mr. Nice Guy.
Well, he's made a lot of money out, hasn't he, out of being the guy people love to hate.
So then it makes you wonder if if a fighter changes, is he losing his hunger for the game?
Well, he's talked about retirement, hasn't he?
After
this world tour is finished. Whether he goes through with that, I think he does love the stage.
Well done, Schommer. At this point, he's countering well. He's not taking anything unduly, and he's using his jab.
Typical Eubank fight so far in the early stages. Very cautious in feeling his way into it, assessing the task. Good fight, punch from Schommer. The left hand. Eubank just covering up for a little bit.
Yes, that one landed, and it was a good left hand. Schommer's also tying Eubanks up inside. He's not allowing him to work.
This is Eubank's 18th consecutive World Championship fight in under 4 years at 2 weights, middle and super middleweight. Out of range, Eubank. Well, I think Schommer's doing more of the work at this stage. Now, 1 or 2 boos from Eubank from the back of the hall.
Yes, I think that was Schommer's round. He did the better work. There was nothing spectacular there, but he landed with a couple of decent shots, and he kept picking away with that jab, and that's stealing points. And Eubanks has got to be careful.
By that left-hand lead, but don't throw it unless you're in balance and you're in range.
Joe Daskowitz doing the talking. He's been a boxing coach since he was 17, and he's now 70, and he's never had a world champion yet. Handled the heavyweight of about a decade ago, Scott Ledoux, who fought Larry Holmes for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Come back in as AC comes to you, okay?
Son Chuck in the corner with him, and Joe Schommer, who's Dan's brother. Schommer has had a lot of managerial problems. He's had hand problems as well. 3 operations on his left hand. He also had 9 stitches in his face after his car hit a deer. But not too many cuts in the ring. 5th round.
Well, there's very little action, but the best of the boxing, you've got to think, is coming from Schommer. Just a little bit sharper.
I'm sure if we interviewed Eubank at this very moment, he would tell us he was in complete control of things and knew exactly how he was going to win this fight. But once again, it's the old problem, isn't it, with him? And why he's caused so much controversy with the judging of his fights, he simply doesn't do enough work.
He doesn't. He's content just to sit back and let the other man take the lead and just try and steal enough.
Eubank's hardly used his jab. If he really is tight at the weight, and if it has been so much of a struggle, he's had to fast for the last 3 days. He's hardly had a drink. He was doing exercises by the swimming pool on Thursday. If he has got a problem, if he is now becoming weak at this weight from his preparations, which really only last about a week for these fights, maybe sometime soon it is going to catch up with him. Whether Schommer's good enough to be that man, we'll find out.
Well, at this moment, Eubank is not looking sharp. At times, he's looking a little bit cumbersome. We've seen that right hand go out and miss badly.
I think Schommer's growing in confidence out there. A little smile playing around his lips there. That wasn't a bad right to the body, though, from Eubank. Oh, and another one to the head. Now, this is better work. Schommer's caught once more. Eubank just steps up the pace a little. And 2 more punches go in from the champion. Schommer got one back. He's out of range with that.
And I think they're talking to each other in there. Schommer just did give a little nod. I think Eubank had said something to him.
Eubank desperately needs to pick up the pace. Even by his standards, it's been a lethargic opening 4 rounds.
It is, he's very lethargic, and even when he lands a shot, Schommer has been allowed to come back with a couple of his own. And that was a very wild right hand. He was looking at the canvas when he threw that one.
Eubank, at the moment, it has to be said, if we're honest with you, is not going down a storm in Sun City. Schommer looks as if he's just got a little bit of some kind of swelling underneath the right eye.
Just fight him like you're doing. Your countering is countering, and you're doing a good job.
There we see Schommer doing some of the work there. He's getting some good work off. Eubank just can't lift himself. When he does, he looks sluggish, and he's just not on target.
Five rounds gone. Dan Schommer, just a little bit worried about the swelling underneath the right eye, though it's nothing much. Says he's promised fights with Tommy Hearns, Iran Barkley, Darren Van Horn, Jeff Harding, Virgil Hill, but he never ever got those chances. Now he has at the age of 34, Schommer. Now I think Eubank's corner may have told him that he has to start taking control of things out there a bit. Counterpunch from Schommer.
Yes, Eubank's got to pick it up. He's on the world stage. It's a big place for him to really shine. And at the moment, he's drawn boos from the crowd.
Getting untidy. And this is an interesting phase of the fight here. You sense that Eubank knows he needs to do a bit more. And what answers will Schommer have when that happens?
Again, Schommer beat Eubank to the counter.
Corner shouting out to Schommer to double up on his jab, not just throw single punches. But at least he's jabbing. Eubank isn't.
Yes, he is the one that's scoring points.
Oh, it's a good right hand from Eubank. Overhand right landed. It looked around the bridge of the nose, the temple. Sent the sweat spraying from Schommer's head. But at the moment, the successes for Eubank are pretty spasmodic.
I think Eubank has really got to take a couple of steps forward. He's got to try and get Schommer, trap him in the corner, trap him on the ropes, and let a few more shots go. He's trying for that right hand, but it's a single shot. He's got to try with the left, the right, and come back with the left too. He's got to put them together.
Now he's using the jab. He was out of range with it. Again, it's a difficult round to score. Schommer's worked quite well behind his jab, but Eubank's landed the best punch of the round with that right hand. He tried it again there, didn't find the target this time. Schommer was wise to it. This could be quite a tough assignment for Eubank, the way things are shaping.
Well, he seems to be having trouble puzzling this one out.
Halfway point of the contest. Another close-ish round.
It's just a facial thing. Okay, Chuck.
All right. Ice.
Danny, you stay with the
keep it to the leg. So behind you.
You use the uppercut, you're not using the uppercut enough. You're going to close him down, right?
We're at the halfway point of this contest in Sun City. Chris Eubank there in some earnest discussions in his corner with Ronnie Davis, his trainer. Now, on my scorecard at the moment, I've got Schommer a couple of rounds ahead here. What about you, Glenn? How are you seeing it?
I've got Schommer exactly the same, 2 rounds ahead. He's doing the better work. He's picking up with the jab. Eubanks is trying to get that big right hand up, but it's not working. And when he misses, Schommer's coming back with his own little slick counters.
He did score with a good right hand in that last round, Eubank, but it was one right hand against some quite good work from the jab from Schommer. Schommer from Minneapolis in Minnesota.
That's a better right hand from Eubanks there. He's got to try and pick it up in this round.
That's a good left hand from Schommer again, who's smiling at Eubank. He said he'd be completely unfazed by anything Eubank did, his posturing, his ring entrance. He said, as far as I'm concerned, he can take his shorts off in the ring. It won't worry me.
Well, you can see Eubank, he's talking to Schommer there, so I think he's getting a bit frustrated. He's trying to get Schommer to do a little bit more. He wants Schommer to make a mistake, but a good right hand there from Eubank.
He's having success with that, and Schommer will have to watch that. And a decent left hook to the body from Eubank as well. Contest warming up in the middle stages. Both landing with decent headshots. Maybe the phony war is over here now.
Schommer's doing well. He's not been phased.
Caught with the right. He staggered by the right. Lost balance that time. Well, that's a bad sign for the American, and the best sign yet for Eubank. He caught Schommer a little off balance with the right hand and seemed to stagger him.
He did. Schommer smile. I'm not sure if he just stepped backwards and got caught as he retreated, or whether it was that good a shot.
He does carry a very good punch, Eubank, when he chooses to use it.
But he hasn't got to rely on it too much. I think he'd do better if he brought more into it. He came behind the jab, behind the right hand, then threw a left too. He's got to try and mix it up a little bit.
Eubank's being called on here to dig a little bit deep and show some of the fighting qualities that, to be fair to him, have got him through every time he's hit a crisis in the past. He has been in a lot of mediocre fights, to be honest with you, but he's also been in a handful of very, very good ones. That was Eubank's best round yet. He'll have taken that one. At last, Chris Eubank moved into some kind of gear there. And, well, he's been staying here in an £1,800 a night suite with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a jacuzzi, sauna, a lounge. He's got his own personal barber, but I think now he realises that he's here in Sun City for a real contest.
Yes, it is, and there's that right hand. It's a good shot, and it did stagger him. I wasn't sure about it. Schommer was moving away, but Eubank threw a good right hand.
But you're screwing them off after you're jabbing and jabbing.
The scorecard that I have at the moment has Schommer 1 round ahead. That was Eubank's best round, that 7th though, and he shook Schommer, and I wonder if that might be a sign of things to come. There are 5 rounds remaining. Eubank, you could bet, will be looking for that right hand honey punch again. If Eubank has had problems with the weight, though, you'd expect it to catch up with him in the second half of the fight. We'll watch that with interest.
you would, but the pace of the fight, it's not a hard-fought fight. It's a thinking fight, so you wouldn't think he'd be that drained.
Yes, good work from Schommer. He avoided the right hand and got him with 3 or 4 of his own. Three-punch combination again from the American. And again, Eubank gives him a little nod of appreciation.
Yes, Eubank just doesn't have the answer at this moment.
Oh, left hook was a good one, though, from Eubank. And look at Schommer's answer to it. This is hotting up now. Eubank's talking to him.
You feel he's doing that because he wants Schommer to make a mistake. He wants Schommer to commit himself. Schommer is counter-punching too much for Eubank, and he's having a bit of trouble trying to understand this style. So he's talking to him, I feel, to try and draw him out of it, try and goad him into doing something, goad him into making a mistake.
Mentioned that, left hand again. I mentioned that Eubank's lip was cut in sparring. I think it's beginning to seep blood again now. Good round, this one. Probably the best of the fight so far. Schommer has been showing some real fighting qualities in there. Landing with several good combinations like that. Eubank shakes his head as if to say, didn't hurt me, but they were scoring punches. Great right, short one from Eubank. Again, Schommer waves him in.
And Schommer is taking that right hand well when he has to.
And after a slow start, the plot is thickening here rather nicely.
It certainly is, and the quality that I like about Schommer so much is he's shown a good boxing brain.
And he's starting to throw his punches in clusters, isn't he, now? Eubank has landed with a couple of cracking shots of his own in this round. Left hook and a short little right. But Schommer has landed with any number of combinations, and he won that round for my money.
Throw punches.
Welcome back. That's my very unofficial reading of the fight. I have Schommer a couple of rounds ahead at this point. It's looking a bit dodgy for Christopher Livingston Eubank. But it has before, hasn't it? Many times. Round 9. What next? Schommer was pretty impressive in that 8th round in little cameos.
He certainly was. He showed a good boxing brain, and when he got hit, he did the right things. And he seems as if he takes a good shot.
Eubank's talking to him again. Sharp right hand. Once again, Eubank in trouble in defense of his world championship. Where have you heard that before somewhere? Oh, cracking left hand from Schommer. Eubank just seems to soak up punches so easily.
Eubank calling Schommer in after that punch. He wants Schommer to make a mistake, but as yet he isn't making any. Boxing a very clever fight.
Well, when this fight was first announced, there were those who derided Schommer as just a club fighter who hadn't fought anybody and said he'd be desperate Dan Schommer. He calls himself dangerous Dan Schommer, and that's been nearer the mark, to be fair. Can Eubank pull it out of the fire again? Wouldn't you just love to know how the judges are seeing it as well?
Schommer's moving around the ring. He's carrying his hands dangerously low.
Good combination from Eubank.
I'd like to see Eubank use the jab a bit more and try and double up the jab.
Eubank must up the work rate, the passion and the intensity. Schommer's done less in this round.
Eubank, he looks more positive. He's trying to walk forward more, but he's just not getting his shots off as good.
And then 3 to the body there, though.
See the body, but Schommer comes back with his left hand and then nods at Eubank as if to say, another one for you.
Well then, we've told you how we're seeing this fight. What about Dave McCauley, the former world flyweight champion, IBF version, watching in London? Dave, how are you scoring this?
Well, at this moment in time, Ian, I have Schommer in front, but you keep saying Eubank looks a wee bit lethargic. You wonder if all these problems with the weight are true, because he looks a wee bit lethargic there, and there seems to be no spark in his work at all, and he's lunging forward, his timing seems to be off. It's either that or he's peaked too soon in the gym, but he has to up the work rate now, because he's quite a few rounds behind now, and if this fight goes the distance, he's going to have to uprate the work now to get a few more rounds behind him, so as he can go out with a points victory at least, because this guy seems to have a real good chin too. Eubank has caught him a few times right on the button, and he stood and he's looked at him. He hasn't worried him at all.
10th round. Interesting to hear Dave McCauley there say he has Eubank several rounds behind. I've got it a bit closer than that, I must say, but I do have Schommer in front at this stage. Eubank certainly needs a big finish.
For me, Eubank won the last round, and he's trying to put the pressure on. He's trying to up the pace a little bit now.
That last one was a difficult one to score. Maybe Eubank just did nick it. I wouldn't give you much of an argument about it. This is the 10th. It's quite a challenge here from the man from Minneapolis, whose own local paper didn't even bother to send a reporter to cover him. That's how highly they regarded his chance.
Well, they might be gone a little bit higher at this stage.
Just dabbed his eye then, Schommer, as if he thought he was cut. He doesn't look as if he is.
Well, I think he may have took a little clash of heads or something then. He was just having a feel. It's the first impulse you do if something like that happens. You look for blood.
Oh, again the right hand. But look at the counter punch from Schommer. He had the answer.
That was a good right hand. Sweats sprayed off his head. But he came straight back with shots. He takes a good punch, Schommer.
Body shots from Eubank this time. He's just beginning to step up the pace, as indeed he needs to. Goodness me, he makes hard work of some of these defences. Oh, again the right hand.
He's just starting to find the distance with that punch.
Better round for Eubank, this one. Never been beaten, remember, Chris Eubank. Just 2 draws against 39 wins. The draws against Ray Close and Nigel Benn.
This is a lot better round for Eubank. He's starting to land well, and he's got the range of that right hand.
Schommer has had to take more in this round. He has scored with his counters, but at last Eubank is working hard and throwing some leather. That was Eubank's round, I think.
Yes, that was a good round for him. He was strong throughout. he kept the pressure on continuously, and it paid dividends. The right hand landed a few times, and that was a good scoring round for him.
Fantastic fight for you.
Dan Schommer putting up a great show here, though. His previous highest purse was $3,500. Tonight, $50,000. There was that right hand from Eubank. It was a good punch, but the counter was good too from the American.
Stay on him. Work him over these rounds. You're going to work.
Schommer is going to go beyond 10 rounds here for the first time.
And he was looking a little bit tight in that round. He had to do an awful lot of backpedaling.
Have we seen the best of Schommer? Is Eubank starting a big finish to come and nick it on the line? Eubank's come back quite well in the last couple of rounds. I've got this level now. How about you, Glenn?
I've got exactly the same. 2 good rounds for Eubanks. He's still trying a little bit too much with that right hand. And if Eubank, or his corner knows, Schommer is going round the same way all the time. He's going away from the right hand. And they should have told him to start, maybe he's fading the right and throwing a left hook. He's got to try something different.
Oh, Schommer steps it up again himself. Schommer, you feel, needs a good round here in this 11th.
Still good counter-punching from Schommer.
Inside the last 2 rounds. Schommer showing his experience. I mentioned Eubank being unbeaten. Of course, Schommer is himself so far. Whatever happens now, Schommer can look back on with some pride on his performance here.
Yes, up till now he hasn't fell into any traps. It's been a good boxing performance.
Schommer's doing quite well again in this 11th round so far. Eubank just breathing a little harder. He's had to make quite an effort to get back into the fight, and has that taken its toll? Remember, we are fighting at altitude, 5,000 feet. Sorry to labour that point. It's worth repeating.
This is a good round for Schommer.
Absolutely on a knife edge. Eubank walking that knife edge again. Well, I think Schommer might have done enough to take that one.
I agree. I thought that was a good boxing round for him. He allowed Eubank to chase him, to come after him in the ring, and he just countered well. Just single shots, little snabby 1-2s, just enough to take the round for me.
Well, my unofficial scorecard has Dan Schommer winning this fight by 1 round with 1 round to go. So it could all depend on the last 3 minutes here. It's got to be close, hasn't it? I would think on most of the scorecards. You would think.
To me, it's got to be very, very close.
But of course, Schommer was telling us beforehand he didn't expect to win if it came to a closest decision.
That's right. So you've got to expect him. If the corner think it's close, you've got to expect him to try something very big in this round.
They touch gloves. 3 minutes left of this one. They both desperately want to take this last round. Eubank letting the punches fly. Right, left hook. Schommer stays with him. Good covering up by Eubank, though. I think they probably landed on the gloves, though it was hard from our angle to see exactly.
Eubank's going for the big shot. He's looking for that right hand, but Schommer's still making him miss.
There's a wild, tired look about some of Eubank's punches. It looks as if it's been tremendously hard work for him. He said, "Don't worry about me losing the weight," but I think it's shown here, don't you?
I think it has.
He's had to pace it. He was slow off the mark.
He certainly laboured in this fight. He hasn't been sharp. That right hand has been badly out of distance at times.
He thinks he was being pulled on, and that sometimes is a sign of distress signals there when fighters start complaining about fouls. Are we watching the end of Chris Eubank's reign? Schommer may have done enough here.
Yes, you feel if he can muster up, if he can bring from his boots a big finish, it'll be enough to win him this fight.
They both look pretty tired in this last round. Oh, as witnessed there, that was just a slip over, no knockdown. Eubank, of course, has been involved in so many hairline decisions in the past, maybe 8 or 9 of his previous fights.
Eubank looks very tired.
He's needed to raise it in this last round. He hasn't really done that.
He's still trying to goad Schommer in to make mistakes, and Schommer isn't having any of it.
It's been a very good performance by the American nobody'd ever heard of. Eubank trying to finish fast, looking for a right uppercut. It's over, and if you want this observer's opinion, Eubank has lost his title, but, and it's a big but, have the judges seen it the same way? Schommer believes he's won it. Well, what do you think, Glenn?
I think Schommer has done enough to win. It was a good boxing performance. He used his brain. He didn't get suckered into anything crazy. And Eubank looked very tight at the end, and he couldn't raise himself. It was a very smart fight from Schommer.
There was a real old row about Eubank's fight a couple of fights ago against Maurizio Amaral, when most of the press thought that Eubank had lost. I must say, I thought he won that fight. Tonight, I don't think he's won the fight. But is he going to be the beneficiary of the judges again? My scorecard has Schommer the winner by 2 rounds. That is only my reading of it. Glenn feels roughly the same way. He's got it 1 round. 1 round to Schommer. 2 judges from Puerto Rico and 1 from South Africa. Are we about to witness one of the great upsets? Has Eubank been beaten for the first time in his 42nd fight, in his 18th World Championship fight? He's got to be worried about it. He looks pretty subdued, probably asking 1 or 2 people what they think. I wonder if we might get a draw.
Would be a surprise.
And who holds on to the title if it's a draw? Eubank will do. That's what will happen. But Schommer has certainly forced his way to the forefront of the picture. This now is fascinating. We await the decision. There is great tension around this Super Bowl in Sun City. It was a pretty lethargic performance from Eubank.
Ladies and gentlemen, the judges have scored the fight as follows. Judge Cunidas Falou scores the fight 116-114. Judge Alfred Bakwana scores the fight 117-113. Judge Jose Rivera scores the fight 116-113 to the winner by unanimous decision, and still...
Well, there is going to be enormous controversy about this. Eubank has got it again by 4 points, 3 points and 2 points from, it has to be said, the contentious WBO judges. And I will repeat, Glenn McCrory and I thought he lost it.
Certainly, I definitely couldn't say how he'd won. It was a close fight, but I think he felt himself that he hadn't done enough. He didn't look a happy man at the end of the fight.
Belt on Chris Eubank, and Des Siekwasengu is doing the honors with the old buck belt. Once again, we must thank immensely Black Like Me, and in particular Herban Mashaba.
There we go again. It's another debatable one for Chris Eubank. And he really had to work for that. But Eubank, according to the judges, and they're the ones that count, has retained his title in his 13th defense and goes on to fight again in December. Well, here is Chris Eubank.